you'll learn how to get back home using only the navigation radios. You have control of the airplane. Fly straight and level, heading 240 degrees at 6,500 feet at 90 knots. How do we navigate with radios? 3 letters, VOR. VOR stands for VHF Omnidirectional Range, which is a radio system that lets you navigate along invisible paths extending from VOR stations on the ground. You'll use 2 types of equipment for VOR navigation. You'll use the navigation radios to tune VOR frequencies. The NAV1 and NAV2 radios are located on the right side of the 2 ComNav radios at the top of the radio stack in the center of the instrument panel. You'll then use the VOR indicator to see your position relative to a particular course to or from the tuned VOR station. In this airplane, there are 2 VOR indicators, one for each navigation radio. This allows you to triangulate your position and to smoothly turn from one course to another. You're above altitude. Try to maintain 6,500 feet. Take a look at the second VOR indicator just to the left of the radios in the second row of instruments. To fly along a particular course, you'll rotate the Omni Bearing Selector, or OBS knob, until that course is at the top of the indicator. If the little triangle on the right side of the indicator is pointing up, it means flying the same heading as the selected course will take you to the VOR station. If the triangle is pointed down, flying the same heading as the selected course will take you away from the station. The NAV2 radio is currently tuned to the Flagstaff VOR, and the course is currently set to 240. The course deviation indicator needle shows the airplane's position relative to that course, and the 2-stroke from flag tells you whether flying that course will take you to or from the tuned VOR station. Right now the flag is indicating from, so if we fly the selected course, 240 degrees, we'll head away from the VOR station. To fly the selected course, turn to that heading and notice where the needle is. If the needle is deflected slightly to the left like it is now, it means that the selected course is to your left. When the needle's to the right, the course is to the right. And when the needle's straight up and down, it means you're on course. Make a slight left turn to intercept the 240 degree course from the VOR station. A heading of 200 should do the trick. Good, we've intercepted the course. Turn right back to a heading of 240 degrees to hold this course. Climb and maintain 6,500 feet. Remember how I mentioned the importance of 2 VOR receivers? We're approaching an airway that we want to follow. Airways are invisible highways in the sky that extend from VOR to VOR. Right now, we're north of Prescott approaching Victor Airway 257, which runs south from here on about a 170 degree course to the Drake VOR. The Drake VOR is just northwest of the Prescott Airport. If we follow the airway toward the VOR, we'll end up in a great position to call Prescott Tower for our landing clearance. Start by dialing the frequency into the NAV1 radio. That's the top right radio. Rotate the knob on the far right until it reads 114.1. Dial 114.1 into the NAV1 radio on the top right of the radio stack. You're below altitude. Hold 6,500 feet. Hold 6,500 feet. You're low. Good. Now, to actually use the frequency, we'll have to swap it from standby to active. Climb and maintain 6,500 feet. Press the frequency transfer button just to the left of the frequency knob now. Press the frequency transfer button on the NAV1 radio. Good. Now select the course to fly. On the right side of the top row of instruments is the VOR1 indicator. Rotate the OBS knob until 170 degrees is set at the top of the indicator. Good, you're all set. Now just wait until the needle centers. As soon as it does, turn left to a heading of 170 degrees to fly that course to the Drake VOR. The needle is alive. Hold your heading until we get closer. Here it comes. Start turning to 170 degrees now. Turn to 170 degrees to intercept the 170 degree course to the VOR. Good job. Now, just track this course until we get to the VOR. As we get closer, the needle will get more sensitive, so do your best to keep it exactly lined up. If the needle moves left, turn left slightly until it centers, then turn back to 170 degrees to track it. Follow our selected course to the Drake VOR. Imagine that a VOR ground station has 360 spokes coming out of it, one for each degree of heading. Each of these spokes is called a radial. The VOR system knows which radial you're on and presents that information in a way that helps you navigate along selected courses to or from VOR stations.
Cherokee 109 Sierra Hotel, traffic 12 o'clock, 5 miles opposite direction, VFR. Altitude indicates 7,500.
Cherokee 9 Sierra Hotel has the traffic in sight. An issue with flying on airways is the increased amount of traffic, since there is a greater likelihood of traffic on the same route. We try to reduce the risk of collision by flying at particular altitudes. That traffic is at 7,500 feet. Probably because he's heading in an easterly direction and flying under visual flight rules. While cruising, traffic flying on easterly headings between 360 and 179 degrees should fly on odd-numbered thousands of feet. Traffic on westerly headings between 180 and 359 degrees should fly on an even number of thousands of feet. Aircraft flying under instrument flight rules fly on the thousands, while aircraft flying visually fly on the thousands plus 500 feet. The rule only applies to aircraft flying more than 3,000 feet above ground level. We're lower than that, so it doesn't apply to us. Though generally, it's a good idea to stick to it anytime you're cruising. There's another feature of VORs that we haven't talked about yet. Distance Measuring Equipment, or DME. If you look in the radio stack, you'll see a distance labeled NM, which is the distance to the selected VOR in nautical miles. Since the distance includes our altitude, it's not a completely accurate measure of location, but it's useful if you want to know about how far you are from a VOR. We're approaching Prescott's airspace, so I'll call out the tower and get our landing clearance. Prescott Tower, Cherokee 109er Sierra Hotel is 7 miles northwest, inbound for landing. We're practicing VOR tracking. Request overflight of the airport to land on 30.
Cherokee 109er Sierra Hotel, Prescott Tower. Prescott altimeter 299er2. It's a slow day. Request approved. Report 2 miles west.
Thank you, sir. We'll report 2 miles west. Cherokee 9er Sierra Hotel. We'll continue tracking this course to the VOR, then track the 120° course outbound. That'll take us right over the airport. Oh, one important point. There's an area directly above a VOR where the signal drops off. This is called the cone of confusion. The loss of signal is indicated by a red and white flag on the VOR indicator. Set it up now. Once we get to the VOR, we're going to head outbound to the east. Set the heading bug to 120° now. Good. We're approaching the VOR. You're left of course. Try to keep the course deviation indicator needle centered. You're right, of course. Try to keep the CDI needle centered. Here comes the cone of confusion. Hold steady. There goes nav mode. Turn to 120 now. Good. Now that we're turning, rotate the OBS knob to select 125°. receiving the VOR signal again. You're below altitude. Hold 6,500 feet. Nicely done. Now, trek this course toward the airport. I'll call up Tower for our landing clearance. Prescott Tower, Cherokee 9er Sierra Hotel, 2 miles west.
Cherokee 9er Sierra Hotel, welcome home. Overfly the airport midfield, then maneuver to enter final for runway 30. Runway 30, clear to land.
We'll overfly midfield, then clear to land runway 30, 9er Sierra Hotel. All right, you heard the tower. Overfly the airport, then maneuver to land on runway 30. I expect you to be able to do this without input from me. If all goes well, your next flight will be your solo cross-country. Nice to be home. You know, you're getting pretty good at this flying stuff. Well, looks like you're getting the hang of this. Tomorrow you'll be on your own for your solo cross-country flight.